There's a transitional assistance program that FEMA offers for people whose houses have been too damaged and they cannot stay there. If somebody says my house is now habitable, or FEMA goes and visits the property and determines it's habitable, then they move out of the transitional housing back to their traditional location. For about 3,000 people, that transitional housing was set to end on Friday or Saturday of last weekend. Even though the houses are ready for them, it just didn't make sense for people to be on the roads when they were icy. And so we asked FEMA to extend that deadline through Monday or Tuesday initially, and then we've asked them to do it for 2 weeks, which they've granted. So folks who are able to go back home over the next 2 weeks will go back home. If anyone got a notice saying that their temporary housing assistance was being terminated, but they cannot live in their property because it's not ready yet, they need to call that toll-free FEMA number and get back on the list, because FEMA will continue to house people as long as they will not be safe on their own properties. I do know this, that if you've been displaced because of the storm, your house was damaged or destroyed and it's not yet habitable, you are entitled to housing assistance. A lot of people did that for a period of time and stayed in a hotel and motel, and then they may have found an apartment to rent, they may have found a family member to move into. So some of those folks will then raise their hand and say, I don't need this anymore. But if anyone in Western North Carolina is not in that situation, but they still need housing because their house is uninhabitable, they are entitled to that continued assistance by FEMA. We want them to apply for that. North Carolinians have not been applying for benefits that they are entitled to under the law at a much lower rate, by the way, than Georgia and South Carolina folks have. And frankly, when people don't apply, they think, well, I can do this myself. We need people to think of their neighbors. And if you can apply, do apply, because the more people who apply, the more that our state's share will be, so that when it comes to rebuilding roads and communities and infrastructure, North Carolina will get its fair share. So if you're not going to apply for yourself, apply for your neighbor.